Hello and welcome to Honest Brew. I am Shell and my cohorts,
Monique
and Sarah.
Today we're tackling the uncomfortable truth about most business owners don't want to admit. You might be the reason things aren't moving forward. I know it's so painful to hear. My gosh, do you hear your stomach just wrenching because you know it's the truth? We're diving into what really looks like when you're the bottleneck in your business, from the brand decisions only you can make, to the marketing you won't delegate, to the operations that grind to a halt when you're unavailable. Let's talk about how to spot it, what it actually takes to get out of our own way. So ladies, this is a juicy topic. So where do you see founders most commonly becoming bottlenecks in their business? Is it branding decisions, marketing approvals, operational processes, or all
I
of
feel
the
like
above and more?
I feel like it depends on the person and what they do a little bit, because like I'm a creative person and I don't have a bottleneck for, doing any kind of design work, but I do have a bottleneck when it comes to clarify like my systems, like my basic systems. I don't want to do contracts and invoicing and stuff. And so, they can like pile up or build up. And it's not that I can't do them, but I'm not really excited to do them. So I think, but there are some people that maybe really like doing proposals. I don't know who they are, but. And so I just feel like it might be a little bit of like the kind of work that you do or like the person that you are.
I would say when it comes to being the bottleneck, part of it is doing stuff that sucks the life out of you. Like you're not excited. You may not be an expert at it. You may not have the skill set for it, which I will say to that, that's just a temporary season. Like if you have more time than money, it's about just doing the hour, like just chipping away at it. But if you have more money than time, those are things that can be outsourced to someone else, because you do get to a point where you just need another expert's eye, because we are so close to our businesses and what we do that we can have a lot of blind spots. And for me, earlier this year, I had the revelation that I was the problem. Like that I was the common denominator in anything that had happened in business and life. And that experience was so freeing because I'm in control of me, which means I can change it. And it was also kind of sad too, because it's like I'm creating all this turmoil, this pressure, this stress, this resistance, that all came from me. So when I'm seeing bottlenecks in myself, it's often because I'm not seeing something clearly. There is an emotion connected to it. So I'm not going to be able to execute, or there's like a limiting belief, or there's something that I need to break through to then be the version of me that embodies whatever it is, or take that risk. So I feel like to me, bottleneck is such a layered thing, because I feel like when you bottleneck yourself, you're afraid to let go of control, or afraid to be in the unknown.
I hear all of that. One thing I want to note on first is what Monique said about what she bottlenecks, because, and I discussed this with you ladies this is exactly how I ended up getting a team. Was I used my bottleneck as a radar of when I needed a team member. So, and the one thing that you mentioned, Monique, about invoicing and like proposals, I would say the invoicing side, that was a huge one for me. And that was a harmful one, because if you're not getting paid, you really have a hard time having a business, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I had to get off my plate, because it was so behind. I was literally giving discounts because I felt so bad that my invoices were coming so freaking late. So that one I will note on, but I still continue to find areas that I'm a bottleneck. And um but I will say the awareness of you being the bottleneck is also awareness of where your business could expand and grow, or should expand and grow. I don't like using shoulds. Don't want to shit all over our audience here. But one thing I would like to touch on is, what is the source though of what causes us to be a bottleneck? And I think that there is a psychological source of, as founders, we have an identity crisis. It's when our identity is wrapped up so in being the one who does it all that letting go feels like we're losing ourselves. Just curious if anything comes up for you guys in that.
That is deep and true. For me, it just reminds me of there was a time when I told myself I really need to get another designer so that I can, um, just multiply the amount of work that I do. Right. At first, I like cringed at the idea of hiring another designer because at the end of the day, it's my Mojo Design is my company, and I move with integrity. And so I have to test out different designers and, they may not do something the way I would do it. And that made me uncomfortable. And over time, working with different designers, I realized my way is not always the best way or the right way. And so just having that inner dialogue with myself and, still having like quality parameters around what is output from my company, but also just knowing that there's more than one way to do everything, and your way is not always, it's not the right way. There's not just one right way. So I think realizing that that can help sort of give up or take back some of your own power in your own time by allowing others to help and support you.
And I have like a million and one thoughts on this topic because I feel like as we record this, like I'm in the thick of that where it's like I this year was just wild for me, like in business and personal life. And I kept finding myself getting really frustrated because I'm like, I'm not doing the things I said I would do. And I was creating so much pressure and tension. And I feel like that was me being a bottleneck in my own business because what I was doing is I'm ready for that next version of me. I'm ready for that big breakthrough. Like I truly see magical things next year. And at the same time, I'm still using mindset, beliefs, tools, how I operate from the old version of me.
Mm.
And what got me to here is not going to get me to that next level. And so that's where I've seen where I'm being stretched. And if I'm being resistant, that's where I'm creating the bottleneck because I'm putting a story around the task. I'm putting emotions around it when I know for me, yes, I'm a human being that has emotions, but I don't want to make decisions from that place in business. I don't want to operate from that place because I know I'm not showing up in my excellence. So I feel like for me, a really good gauge of a bottleneck is, am I getting really frustrated? Am I trying to force something? It will feel like a tension in my body. And that's when I know, like, girl, take a break, step away. Like we need to kind of detach from this so then we can see it clearly.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like with clients who are like afraid to hire someone like me to do their operations, they're like, but I still want to know how to do it. It's about detaching. What's the actual issue you're facing on why you don't want to outsource this or cancel this software or do that rebrand? I bet you there is a story that's in your mind that's preventing you from taking action. And it's about being curious, being kind, let it pass through you because then it will be easier for you to take that step.
Yeah. And there is also that if I do trust it, if I do take that step, how do I get rid of that person or whatever? And it goes down a whole rabbit hole, which, by the way, we already have episodes that address some of these things. So please go back and listen to them. But some of these things that I identify that can come up from people, and this is from me just working with entrepreneurs and what comes up for them and what kind of is blockers. One is that imposter syndrome type of thing where there is that fear of no one can do it like I do. Sorry, Monique. Uh, but it's
Sure.
often masking what if they do it better than me? And I'm not saying that was Monique,
Oh,
but sometimes that is another fear that's a hidden fear that is coming behind that. And as business owners, I think we can get wrapped up in there.
yeah.
There's also the martyrdom kind of thing of when being overwhelmed becomes a badge of honor. And I think this is kind of what came with the girl boss thing. Just know it's not, it's a red flag. Just say. And the third one, and I'm not saying these are all encompassing, but these are just some of the ones that came up most for me. Trust issues rooted in past partnerships or bad hires, in how those previous betrayals can cause you to hold on tighter. to those reins. That does not mean the next person is going to do that. And so that kind of points to Sarah, you talk about that hidden story that kind of comes in there. But I think that we really hit a lot of what can help people identify that they are a bottleneck. Okay, you're here and you are being so heard right now and you are being so seen and we're so sorry, but we're so happy you are because that can move us to a place of how do we get out of it? How do we break this? And I'm going to start off with a little story of this is years ago. And it was the first writer I brought on to our company. And I was wanting her to write the copy for our website as visual copy, whatever. And I was just kind of like, I just like, yeah, just, you know what we do, just do it. And she, she so lovingly told me that it would make her job easier if I would actually tell her the things that are in my brain because she says, I cannot know everything that's in your brain. I just thought magically she would just know. And of course, this came out of several back and forths of, no, that's not right. I'm talking, this is a few decades ago. Anyway, but what that points to me though, is not only are you containing everything in your brain as the owner, and when stuff is bottlenecked, it's because no one else can move forward because it's just in your brain, right? So it's everything is waiting for you. So, like for example, if we have some project that I'm supposed to handle and it's sitting there and it's not been handled yet, that's my indicator of like, okay, I need another team member that Liz can project manage this too when she's like, okay, Bella's taking way too long to get to this and the client is waiting. Or a project sits in limbo, um, for whatever reason. But the reason is you because everything is waiting for you. So I wanted to first ask like, hey ladies, have you experienced this?
Duh.
And yeah, just your thoughts around everything waiting for you.
I wanted to comment on this because it's so near and dear to my heart. I'm gonna tell a little story, okay? And it's connecting the dots a little bit. I had this email platform that I hated, and I became a bottleneck in it because I did not like using the platform and it was clunky and other people couldn't move forward because of, or I wasn't forwarding my marketing platform or marketing campaign because I hated using this platform. And then I made the decision to move to another one that is much more intuitive, easier. It's a delight to use. And so that's a little bit sideways conversation of what you were just saying, but it's a bottleneck, but it's when it comes to platforms that can make you more efficient. So I think that, and Sarah, I'm sure loves that one, right? The operations gal, but I just had to say that out loud because it's a real life example. It's not necessarily affecting like another team member per se, but I think the platforms can, if they're not easy to use and efficient and you don't like using them, then find another one.
Well, that's the solopreneur take on it because I'm speaking from having team members, but that is a totally legit. And I love that you brought that.
Have tactical thoughts and emotional thoughts about this. So it's like, I feel like with a lot of bottlenecks, they do happen on the less fun side of business, like your inbox, following up with people, the contracts, invoicing. And I always say this, you did not start your business to do admin and operations unless you're someone like me. You did it to change people's lives. So the things that are making you frustrated, making you unhappy, you resist them. A person can take care of it for you. A tool could take care of it for you. Automation can. So that's where, especially if you're a solopreneur, because I don't have a team yet either, is spending the time to automate those things. Because I feel so much better knowing if someone books a discovery call with me, they get very tailored, like reminders. It sounds like me, but I'm not the one sending them. I no longer have that, oh my God, I forgot to email them. feeling. So it's like, start with your technology first. And then when you're suddenly dealing with broken automations or things on a bigger scale are breaking or frustrating you, that's when I'd say it's time to hire, to have someone else handle it for you, to where if there is a fire, Joe Schmo over there has got it. On the emotional side, this advice is going to be annoying. It's going to take time. It's going to take time for those beliefs, stories, emotions to get out of your nervous system. Because I feel like when you break through a bottleneck, what you're really doing is shedding layers of things that are no longer going to help you get to where you want to be next. You are expanding your capacity to have more, because we all want more money. But with more money comes more responsibility, different challenges, and we have to be able to be up to that task, because I believe the universe is not going to bring you your blessings if you're not ready for it. So that's why I always say is take your days slowly so you can kind of observe what thoughts come up, what emotions come up. Is there a repetitive task that keeps coming up that pisses you off? Make note of those things, because that data allows you to have clarity, which from clarity you can then take action to change it.
Yes.
And that, what comes up for me on that is when, because I do have a team, when they need to ask me permission to do certain things. But you can even have contractors or people that you hire, just like they feel like they have to kowtow to you. You haven't given them any trust, or they don't feel trusted by you. I don't know why that just came up for me in what you were saying, Sarah. So I hope that that connected. The other place that I would love to go with this, as far as like ways that things that you can look at to break free, it's really, be able to see the way you're bottlenecking that helps you break free from it, right? One indicator that I would like to mention is that you are working more, but your revenue isn't growing.
Oh, amen.
Mm.
Sis.
You know, I have to say
You just outlined my.
there.
Yeah.
I feel like I got enough reaction for you guys. I have to say nothing else. Go ahead.
You don't. Because I fell into that trap of thinking the more I work, the more money I'll make. When it's like, if half that work is busy work, revenue generating activities, then what are you doing? Just to say you worked 80 hours in a week?
Totally.
I don't want to be working 80 hours a week. It's about working smarter, not harder. And like, give yourself to be permission to go against the grain. Like, if you're starting a business, you've been in business, you do it because you want to build something that feels good to you. That freedom of time, freedom of money, opportunity. That's why you started your business. And these bottlenecks are just teachers on how you need to expand, but also how your business wants to expand.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head, Shell, because about 3 to 5 months, I've been feeling like I've been working my butt off. And because I'm getting close to the end of the year, I know what like my net will be by the end of the year. Like I know what that's going to be. And it's pretty much the same as last year. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. I've been working off my butt and I did not make any more money. So what's going on? And I just feel like it's really telling for me to reevaluate, like maybe I need to hire new people. Maybe I need to visit Sarah and have her evaluate my operations. It's like those two things keep coming up over and over for me. And I mean, I don't know the answer. I'd love to hear if you guys have suggestions.
Well, I could yap your ear off because I love this stuff.
We'll take
so
that one
much.
offline, me and Sarah.
For real. Like, yeah, I think now that I'm like sitting with it, like in this conversation, because this conversation also really hits home for me, bottlenecks really are just like, hey, like we're ready to grow, we're ready to expand, something wants to come. It's not like a negative thing. It's like an invitation to move through something, do something differently. Like, we're meant to always be evolving, especially as business owners. Like, to me, that's the only way your business would fail is if you're not willing to evolve. But if you're here listening to us, you definitely want to evolve. And so it's like taking note of the bottlenecks that you're experiencing, making note of thoughts, feelings, whatever that's coming up around them. And just know like that is something you can control, which means that is something you can then change to actually make you feel good.
Yes. And it's so funny because I want to keep pointing to previous episodes because we have previous episodes that solve all these bottlenecks.
Literally.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because the next thing I'm going to say, which is use AI, people. Your
Hmm.
life, AI is actually solving so many of these problems that, these types of automations, these types of, Monique, you mentioned proposals. Proposals were one of the things that terrified me. I always thought I was just never doing them right. I never thought of all of the things. That is actually one of the first things that I gave AI.
Hmm.
I give them my
Why have I
discovery
not done
call.
that?
I give them the discovery call. I give them all my
Yep.
thoughts on it, where I want to go. And I say, give me a proposal. And then I go through and I, of course, go and put in my own voice and my own edits. But if you are doing nothing with AI, do that. Because I
Hmm.
haven't met a person once that enjoys proposals. I'm sure there's someone out there, but even the most left-brain person I have met hates proposals. I don't know anybody who likes proposals. Because if you're not battling not even being very left-brain, you're battling probably your issues with asking for money. I don't know.
Mm.
There's a
Ooh.
lot wrapped up in there. And I do want to point to that. And Sarah, you look like you're going to bust.
I have to think just like, especially with like I love doing proposals because I'm like, I thank you so much for sending me this opportunity to present a solution to this person. Like having gratitude for it. And I did go through the phases of like, damn, I'm doing this manual thing over and over again. Like that's what frustrated me. So now like I have automations in place that allow me to remember emails to use when follow-ups. I put it into chat to customize it to them because I'm very much about them, not here's a cookie cutter thing, like hope for the best.
Right.
And so it is really about if you love something, keep doing it. Even if people are like, you should automate that, you should outsource that. You may get to a stage where you have to start outsourcing things you love, which I know Shell has a lot to thoughts on that. And please just give yourself permission to let go of the things that you hate doing. Because literally the worst case scenario is you just go back to manually doing it again. And you've been doing that for months.
And I just want to remind everyone here, remember when you're in that story, remind yourself why you became an entrepreneur. If you wanted to work like a dog with barely any money, go back to corporate. That is
Amen.
my PSA right now. So, and yes, and I'm in that point in my business. I mentioned that in a previous episode that I'm in that point in business where I'm having to let go of things I love because I know our
Mhm.
business needs to go to a next level. So you do get to that. But where I started with, and I mentioned this already, it was my signs of bottlenecking were my signs to grow, my signs to either hire out, bring people team on. And if you struggle with the idea of that, we've got a great episode for you that you can check out on our podcast. Okay. Anyway, let's say it again.
Shameless promotion.
I'm doing it facetiously. Anyway, but there is good information, and I just want to make sure our episode doesn't get too long repeating ourselves.
Mm.
We definitely don't want to do that, and we want to be authentically with you in what we are addressing here. Another one that I have noticed with my bottlenecks, and by the way, I just want to side note, Sarah, now I know somebody who likes proposals, so there you go. Thank you. I guess I did know somebody, but opportunities are slipping through the cracks. I've experienced that. My apologies to any of those opportunities, but I have experienced that. And what I would say on that one is, it really is that when you have things you haven't answered, and I'm going to give you a funny example. And this has nothing to do with being an entrepreneur. My husband desperately wants to go to a FIFA or one of the FIFA games when it's here in the US.
Nice.
Yes, we are football fans. Football fans, not it's soccer. Okay. He submitted to get priority to get a seat in be able to get tickets to one of the games. Well, my daughter proceeds to point out that one of her friends had gotten seats at a Dallas game or whatever for the FIFA, like, I guess some of the pre-stuff. Anyway, and my husband's like, "Wait, I never got picked? I never got picked." And my daughter's like, "Well, you must not have because he's gotten picked. I'm sure it's done now." He goes back to his email, finds this email he got back in September. So just a heartbreaking thing. And yes. But with that said, I use that example because the heart wrench that he felt is how I have felt many times when I have missed opportunities of either missing an email or, just not being at a place that because I was just so wrapped up in my busy that I could have met somebody. There are so many opportunities that you do not even know you missed. I'm telling you that right now.
Mhm.
That is the truth. So, because we've all had those moments where like grumbling about, oh, going to this event or doing this thing, and then something amazing comes out of it. So when we
Mhm.
grumble and we listen to our grumble and don't do it, that too. So with that said, opportunities are slipping through the cracks. How has that experience been for you guys?
I see it all the time with clients. They'll be like, "Oh, thank God you saw that. I would have missed it." And for me, it's about, at least in my experience, because to me, a messier inbox means people know me more. My
Mm.
business is growing. People want to work with me or they're curious about me. And the way I've kept my sanity with that is tagging emails, filtering them, using the snooze function in Gmail. If I'm not ready to respond, it'll bounce back to me. Like, that's how I stay on top of it. And I do feel like opportunity can be missed on a bigger scale on like, are you on top of your DMs? What do you do for social media? Or say someone goes to your website, they're like, "Oh my God, I want to work with Monique," but the link to the discovery call is broken. Those are little things that like we may be like, "I'll deal with that later," but that blocks a blessing. We want to make it as seamless as possible, not only for them, but for our own sanity of not having that you wake up wide eyes open at 12 a.m. and you're like, "I never sent that email. I never fixed that thing." So I feel like it is about slowing down, which is like the most annoying advice ever. Like I've heard that for years and I would roll my eyes, but let me tell you, the faster you can give yourself grace in knowing I have all the time in the world, everything will get done at the perfect time is the most beautiful sense of peace I've ever had.
Love that so much. And I can relate. I'm going back to Now I started with my email platform, but I'm going back to it. Okay. So,
It's such a great example. You're paying.
because I switched my email platform, I have not yet set up my automations. Bad girl. And so that's a missed opportunity because bringing people into my world, my space, and nurturing them is the way to get potential clients, right? So and it seems like a little thing, but it really can lead to more work. So it may seem small and insignificant, but at the end of the day, it can snowball into a larger issue. So that's me telling myself that I really need to get on that.
Or she should have took us up on our offer to just ignore her. Just saying that. So I just want to point to some of the shifts that I have either heard in this conversation or have concluded myself. So one is perfection, from perfection to permission to embrace the 80% rule, which is when it's good enough done by someone else. It does not need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be exactly how we would do it. Gatekeeping decisions and building decision-making frameworks, which I'm sure that Sarah
Oh.
really appreciates. And three, I can't even count today. From only I can do this to I need to teach someone to do this
Mm.
or hire someone to do this. Or from real-time involvement to scheduled checkpoints. And we did not touch on this, but this is something that was very just very present for me, especially because I have a team and but even like clients, like being so available for every little thing is not a good thing.
Mm.
And you're out when you're doing that, you're operating from fear. So I just wanted to insert that one because we don't want to keep you here forever, but we definitely want you to have some goodies to leave with. And then from hoarding context to radical documentation. That
Ooh.
was my brain, my CEO brain holding everything. Let it out. You got so much you can share. And just, I want to leave with this, in all of this. Just know that when you trust others to help you, be it hiring, be it bringing on team, you are being a blessing to them through the blessing that you have. And so not only are you bringing income to other people, you're also bringing your knowledge to other people. So ultimately, what you're hoarding are all is that genius and opportunity you could be giving others. And that only helps you blossom. And you switch it over to Sarah for the incentives.
Yes, and I've been saving this juicy piece because my father-in-law actually said it to me and it really clicked. And I can see in how it connects to bottlenecking is we have three problems: the ones we can control, the ones we can influence, and the ones that we don't have any control or influence over. And the reason
Mhm.
bottlenecks happen is us trying to control or influence something we have no need to be doing. And the sooner we can kind of figure out our lane, the easier it is to notice the bottlenecks, to make the tough decisions of, I need to switch my tool. I need to hire someone. I need to replace someone. That is almost my final step.
Beautiful one. I
Excellent.
Thank you.
love that, Brew.
Wonderful. Simple and truth. That's some tough love
I
right there.
Yes.
Beautiful potency there. And with that said, thank you for listening. We hope that there was some piece of wisdom you could take away today, and we will see you next week.